This video is just not going to be a training and diet video. It's going to be the last video that you're going to be watching as someone that's skinny fat and is trying to find their way around fitness, and you want to just have that aesthetic physique. I was insecure about my physique, just like you probably are. And rightfully, you may have the motivation to want to go to the gym. And I did this. And I was sticking to the gym routine, and I had a lot of discipline, built muscle, but I couldn't stick to a diet for more than a few weeks at a time. I had terrible cravings and binge eating habits for processed food. So this hindered my progress to get that aesthetic body that I want, and I have that today. I don't even think about what I should be eating. I don't even track my macros. The things that I used to be obsessed about, I don't do that anymore, and I have this lifestyle of calisthenics and lifting weights that I truly enjoy and do it with people that I love. When it comes to training, don't overthink anything. I want you to do what you want. Go on Google, YouTube, whatever, Reddit, and just type in a push-pull leg routine. And just go to the gym and do those exercises for 1 year. And by doing this with all your exercises, you'll make progress. Because as someone like you that is skinny fat, just like I was, the number one goal is for you to make muscle. It's not to cut down and lose the fat. I'll show you a visual example. Here's a picture of me at 65 kilograms. And I don't look good. I'm skinny fat. And here's another picture of me at 65 kilos again. I'm the exact same weight. You can see that I'm just more aesthetic. I have that V taper. The abs are kind of popping through. Being the same exact weight, I looked completely better, and it didn't require me to cut down. It's to build muscle. That's your number one objective, to get out of skinny fat. That's your answer to this whole video. To build muscle means to progressive overload and to follow that gym routine that I'm telling you guys, or just look up a push-pull leg routine, or you can join my Project Ascent community on the link down below if you want gym workouts and ring workouts for calisthenics outside that you can follow, and they're really fun. If you're skinny fat, it's because you just don't have enough muscle on your frame. If you just follow a simple push-pull leg routine and just Google it, I don't care what exercise selection you do, just don't overthink the process and listen to these science-based YouTubers and videos that are trying to tell you that this workout is 10% more efficient for your biceps than doing maybe your favorite version of that exercise. Do what you like doing and what kind of feels best, and it might take a little bit of experimenting, but just do a routine, and definitely grab your phone and log your workouts as well, so you can progress with the weights. You want to do progressive overload. To simply explain it, when you're doing an exercise in the gym, like bicep curls, let's say, as soon as you are able to do 6 to 8 reps and you can't do any more, 8 reps is a sweet spot. So then you should then up the weight. So if you were just doing 10 kilos at 8 reps, then it's your turn now to do 12 kilos at maybe 5 or 4 reps. Until you can get 8 reps again, you don't go up in weight. It doesn't matter what you do. If you want to go and do calisthenics outside and to enjoy those routines, or you want to go to the gym, do whatever you want. You have to be completely selfish, because as someone in your position that's skinny fat, right, and you want to have an aesthetic physique, let's say you're building a house. When you build a house, that aesthetic physique, you're not going to focus on the furniture and all the cute little things inside and all the lighting and the paintings that you're going to put on the window. Sure, later in time, maybe 1 to 2 years later, once the house has finished construction, you can then pay attention to maybe spamming your lat raises and working more on your shoulders. You can identify your weak points. But if you're skinny fat, you need the house foundations first. You need to make sure the house doesn't collapse. So that means just following any routine online. You don't have to overthink this. Just do any compound, squat, bench, pull-ups. I don't care what exercise selection you go by. To get out of skinny fat, you just need that foundation of muscle. And then once you have that, you're pretty much out of skinny fat then. And it's just then a question of, what do you want to optimize? Do you want your shoulders to look bigger? Do you want your abdominal muscles to be more defined? But until then, you've got at least a year until you start thinking about that stuff. So you've got some work to do. So switch your brain off and just do any gym routine.
Take me as an example. I did my first ever bulk. I know I'm a bit of a fat fucker right here, but I gained my initial muscle, which is really important. And it's only when I trimmed down later on did I realize my shoulders need a lot more work, which is something that I'm addressing today. And this is the situation that you're going to be in as someone that is skinny fat. You need to just focus on getting your foundational muscle first, then we optimize later on.
Don't train like a pussy. This is the most common mistake that I see among gym goers, and maybe I'm guilty of this sometimes as well, but I definitely make sure that the standard is that I follow a ritual. I always have coffee before the gym, and I enter with my phone on airplane mode, listening to the music that I like listening to that's going to hype me up for the day. I don't spend more than an hour in the gym. I don't do 10 sets per exercise. I'm not there to socialize. I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to get a job done. That's how you need to be treating the gym. It needs to be this code of conduct with yourself. And you can't train like a pussy. How do you know that you're training to failure? Which is really important. So that basically means when you're tracking your weights and you approach that 8 rep range, that literally means you cannot physically push the weight anymore. Like, I put a gun to your head and I tell you, can you still do that rep, or your whole family dies? If you can't do that rep, you've reached failure. You need to be within 1 to 2 reps of failure all the time. Because that way, as someone that's new to the gym, you're going to make the most amount of progress in a year. And there's nothing like worse, in my opinion, when I go to the gym and I see a bunch of guys just wasting time, just like twiddling on their phones on Instagram in between their sets. And I've done 4 solid work, like, exercises, and they're still on the same bench on their phones. Are you there to watch Instagram reels and brain rot? It has to be airplane mode, and the only people you need to be interacting with are the ones that literally physically come up to you, and they're kind of like parasocial relationships, or you've got a gym buddy. And that's like, if you have a gym buddy that can go with you to the gym, then that's just awesome in my opinion. You need someone that can understand where you're at. They know what weight you can do. They can sort of hype you up. That's the only exception for the interactions that you should be having in the gym. You're not there for happy hour. You're there to fucking work out. Set goals. Making goals is super important. For me, I ran a marathon. I literally ran for 6 months in rain during the winter. I did winter training, and the marathon itself was in summer. It's the fact that I set a goal and a deadline, and the days just kind of, there's like a day counter, and I knew like it was May 11th. That day was just in my head. The day just kept going down, down, down. So when you have a clear goal for yourself, for me now, that's getting 10 muscle ups, or learning how to do a handstand, then maybe a handstand push-up. These are goals that I have for calisthenics. Maybe you want to get a 60 kilogram bench press, or a 100 kilogram bench press. If you set goals and you're very specific about it, and you can even put a deadline on it, within 6 months, I told myself that I wanted to get 5 muscle ups when I got my first ever muscle up in around April.
Oh shit! Oh, yo!
And I managed to do it within that time. And I'm super proud of myself, and it just makes you want to continue. So you need to set goals for yourself, and the deadline bit is really important, because I read a study online about how, it was by Harvard, goals are way more likely to be achieved if you actually write down the deadline, and like, you're specific about what you want, what you're going to do, and then you put the deadline. If you'll do that, you're way more likely to achieve that goal. You will endure any troubles, any weather conditions, any bullshit excuse you'll come up with. Keeps you accountable by having written goals. In my opinion, dieting is just very simple, but there's just so much misinformation that I wish I could just tell my younger self to just not make those mistakes. You try to do these extreme diets. Maybe you want a crash diet. You say you're not going to eat for a while. You're going to do the carnivore diet, a low carb diet, whatever the bullshit diet is. And then you just default back to your bad, shitty diet again with processed food, pizza, chocolates, whatever it is that your tongue just finds appealing. The solution to this is to not do extreme diets, and you need to understand that a whole foods and balanced diet is actually the most healthy diet you can do for yourself. Look up Cristiano Ronaldo or LeBron James or any world famous athlete's diet. You'll see that they are literally multi-millionaires. They can hire the most advanced nutrition people to give them advice. And what do they eat? They don't eat the bullshit that you're looking at on TikTok of, a white monster and a steak and avocados. Like, to be fair, that's not that bad of a selection of food, but the white monster is kind of stupid. But it just goes to show that there are literally role model examples for you out there. So why not just study them? Why are you listening to fitness influencers that are getting you on a stupid diet? Now, this protocol is so simple, and it's what helps me stay lean year round. And it's so easy to stick to this diet, but you have to stick to this protocol that I'm about to tell you right now if you want to make this transformation. It's to eat single ingredient whole foods. Potatoes, carrots, tuna, chicken, broccoli, bread. Anything which is one ingredient, you're allowed to eat it. I'll put a chart on the screen and just screenshot this image. I'll leave it up for a few seconds. These are all the foods which you're allowed to eat from now on. So it doesn't matter how you combine it. It's going to take some time for you to adopt this diet. But the reason why this diet is superior and a balanced diet is just going to help you is because having an adequate amount of carbohydrates from this diet, which is what you should be aiming to do from your breads, your oats, always have them before your workout because our muscles use glycogen and we need that to fuel our workouts. And then for the repair process, at the end of the day, just eat protein. Try to aim for a gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then just go on MyFitnessPal and just scan the barcode labels of the food that you're eating so you can measure it out with some weighing scales if you have to. Then you'll know exactly how much protein you're having. Like, you can just aim for like a rough 80 to 120 grams of protein per day on the days you lift. So you don't need to be so specific. Just aim for a general ballpark. And when you do this diet, you'll always feel full and satiated. It will literally improve your body composition, and nutrients are just processed a lot better. A lot of fitness influencers will put you on this idea of a calorie is just a calorie. And while that is true, it's basic thermodynamics that a calorie is just a calorie. But the quality of the calorie is really what makes a difference. Because you could eat 400, 500 calories of a McDonald's cheeseburger, but then you could have 500 calories of oats with peanut butter and honey and maybe a bunch of fruit. That is going to keep you so much more satiated and full for literally hours. But that McDonald's cheeseburger, that processed junk, you're gonna be able to eat probably like 5 of them in a row if you were really hungry and you try to challenge yourself. But I guarantee you, you'll not eat a second bowl of oats even if you're super hungry. This is why you need to be eating as many whole foods as possible, and it's probably one of the most important takeaways in this video. Because truthfully, you could only go to the gym, in my opinion, 2 to 3 times a week, especially as a beginner if you're working hard. And if you eat this sort of diet 90% of the time, you try your absolute best, I promise you, it will take maybe 2-3 months of sacrifice to adjust to this diet, and then you have a lifetime of enjoying this diet because you've basically just been stuck in this trap of someone that's skinny fat, to eat processed food, to eat foods which taste nice to your tongue, and your dopamine in your brain has adjusted to it. Andrew Huberman made an amazing podcast about how dopamine works, and I highly recommend you watch it. I'll put it on the screen. He basically talks about how you have a baseline dopamine, and when you're doing as many, like, this is more of a lifestyle thing. When you're doing many activities, or you're eating foods, for example, which are not whole foods, you eat chocolate, for example, chocolate spikes your dopamine 2x. Having intercourse with a woman is like 3x. So you eating a bar of chocolate is just crazy. There are people that climb mountains and have 2x dopamine, and you're getting that from chocolate. So we need to remove as much. This is a lifestyle change. We need to remove as much of that cheap dopamine as possible, because when you eat whole foods, your insulin barely spikes, your dopamine doesn't really spike that much either. Your baseline dopamine, you're respecting your dopamine in your brain, it stays consistent. It doesn't go through these huge waves and all these crashes. And the more stable you can keep your sort of lifestyle, not binge eating and not engaging in activities like pornography and all these addictions that I talk about in my channel, the easier it's going to be for you to stick to this diet that's literally going to transform your body. And yes, it'll take time for you to adapt and undo the years of damage that you've done to yourself as someone that's skinny fat, because you're not aesthetic. There's a reason why you are where you are now. But I assure you that if you just spend even 2 months, even if you ate all the processed food and all the sweet treats that you like eating alongside this healthy diet, which I'm recommending to you, you will actually get used to it. And I don't even count my macros because I don't need to. Because when you eat clean like that every single day, it's your new normal. And I'm telling you, I saw a mate a few weeks ago, and we do calisthenics every single weekend. And I had a pizza and the chocolate that day. And I'm not joking when I tell you guys that when I had this food, my brain literally felt like it was on drugs. That's how little I eat processed food. And when I see people do that on a daily basis, it genuinely makes me question, like, shit, this is just not normal. And I struggle to adopt this diet and this way of life. But it's just a small commitment of a few months. And you've got a whole lifetime of feeling your best. You're feeling satiated with every meal you eat. You don't want to binge eat. You're stable. And then your body just kind of follows suit. You're fueled for your workouts. You feel great, and you're going to look great as well. To get that transformation from skinny fat to aesthetic will mean that you're primed to then make that body transformation. It's a lifestyle change. It's not just a diet change. And this is what people tend to get wrong, in my opinion. And the biggest thing that I was missing was really just that sense of accountability, because I had to do it by myself. And I really wish I had a place where I could do that, which is exactly the reason why I created Project Ascent, which is my fitness community, in a link down below, where I want you, young men, to get you over your addictions and to make that transformation into strong men. Subscribe if you found this video helpful, and give it a like as well so it can be promoted on the algorithm, so it can help other people like you. It just helps me and you out. YouTube is probably going to recommend you this video that's best that you watch, so take a look at that. Thank you for watching this video. Take care. Let's get aesthetic, boys. Woo! Let's go.